Hello. Today I'll be doing another quick book review of one of the books on Elon Musk reading lists of books that inspired him. Today we have Empire: The Life, Legend, and Madness of Howard Hughes by Bartlett and Steele. It's Donald L. Bartlett and James B. Steele. I'll go ahead and show you the table of contents just to get an idea of the book. I'm not going to go into too much detail of this book because there's so much stuff in here. It gets very detailed and thick with everything, with his business dealings and people he associated with, his political connections, all kinds of it's just real dense. So I'm gonna just leave this one up to the imagination for the most part. But I think part of the reason it's so detailed is because this fool documented every freaking thing he did. Every conversation he pretty much had was put in a memo and written down and stuff, even to what he ate that day and at what time and what movies he watched and at what time and stuff like that. But I digress on that part of it. But his dad was entrepreneur, and he was in a bar one day, and there was a guy with a wooden mock-up of a drill bit for oil drilling. I think his dad paid like $300. The guy sold it to him, and his dad took that, got it patented, started getting it manufactured and whatnot, and it revolutionized the oil field industry. That's why I think Baker Hughes, I think that stems from all that, the oil field of the Howard Hughes. Like he created a lot of different companies and stuff, but that's all started with the drill bit. Because people were paying top dollar for that shit because it was really like changing the game, like making people be able to drill way faster and more efficient. So once his dad bought that drill bit and got it manufactured, they were bringing in bukus of money. Well, his father died, and Elon Musk at an early age, or not Elon Musk, Howard Hughes at an early age, Junior, he inherited that money. And I'm gonna just touch on some key points in the book because, like I said, this thing is detailed. But he always took money and invested it heavily in everything he did, and I think Elon Musk took something from that because it seems like Elon Musk takes everything from Tesla, SpaceX, all kinds of stuff, and he reinvests it into other endeavors. And another thing I think he took from Howard Hughes here was he would catch the public's attentions with everything he did, whether it be an airplane or movies, or whatever. He got the public heavily invested in it. But like he would make movies that had like controversial posters that were sexual, for like stuff that really wasn't done at that time, to get people talking about it and hype it up, and have like a sex scene or something. I can't remember exactly, but it would be some stuff that the religious people would make a frenzy over, and it would get into the papers and everything, and people would start talking about it. So get people wanting to see the movie to see what the hype's about. Or if he flew around the world, he'd make it a spectacle. Like he was good at public relations. Like his whole life, everybody thought he was like this well-mannered, groomed, and like sophisticated guy, but really he was just honestly, he was just a drug addict with a lot of money, chilling in a hotel in an unsanitary environment, most of the time naked, and but just watching movies and getting high. But another way he caught the public's interest was spending tons of money on his first movie. I believe it was called Hell's Angels. I'm not sure on that, but he spent tons of money on it, and it was like the biggest financial backing of a movie ever at that time, I believe. It took a while to read this, so I might be getting some of the details wrong, but it is worth to read to verify what I'm saying here. And also, there's so much information I'm not going to be able to cover really much of it. But there was a point in the book too where he got government contracts to build some stealth bombers and cargo planes for the military for during World War II. But the whole time he was saying people were sabotaging him and everything like that, and that they were it was making it to where he couldn't deliver what his promises to the military and whatnot, which everybody says he was going crazy and everything like that. But I think there is some truth to the things he was saying, because it did seem like he was getting involved in a lot of lawsuits and stuff like that, and people were trying to know his whereabouts heavily and like just like hella stalking him and shit to made it. I think that's where they said he was reclusive because he was scared of germs, but I think a lot of his also stemmed from the people that were plotting against. It did seem like people were plotting against him, trying to get him tripped up and caught up in some shit. And I think that's what made him so reclusive. Like he had like a fucking highly intricate fucking way of like hiding from everybody, and you can only access him through certain people, and those certain people stayed real close to him, and a lot of people didn't really get access to him. And I think it stemmed from that time when people were trying to sabotage and find out his whereabouts and get him caught up in all kinds of legal matters and stuff. But part of it could have been also too that he was so fucking OCD, because he was OCD to where he would fucking, even his aides would have to, like, he'd have all these detailed steps they'd have to do for everything, like walk so many paces, jump over the curb, and then when you walk in the door, don't look left or right, and all kinds of irrelevant shit that he would have people do. But like he had when he locked himself in these hotels and with his just limited access to him and everything, and but he had like an intricate telephone and like telephone system and network, and people would he had a fucking codified fucking method of conversation, just like all kinds of stuff. Just he basically just lived in those hotels and just ran things on the telephone, and like he just liked to maneuver money and come up contemplate ways to scheme and everything. Like he created this medical institute as a way to avoid taxes. This medical institute was supposed to do research to improve medicine and whatnot in the medical field, but really it was just a way to funnel money to himself tax free, which I don't understand. A lot of this business stuff I didn't really understand the intricacies or the meaning behind a lot of it, but like somehow he was able to get tax free money to that medical institute. Like they said in the book, he was paying probably like 0.06% was being used for actual research. The rest of it was like, the majority of it was really getting funneled to him. Besides the employees and everything, the majority of it was being funneled to him. And he had like this intricate way of all these ways of how he would get paid from the medical institute. Like he owned the land and leased the property to the medical institute, which they had to pay him for. He took one company and gave it to the medical institute that he had owned, so that way it would be tax free and all this, like all kinds of stuff, and he would get paid from that too. It was real intricate, and it seemed like they didn't really go into the high detail on that part, but he was very good at doing that stuff, and but he was in bed with the IRS and Nixon and all of them. Like the IRS, once they passed a law that a certain percentage of the charities had to be used for charity in order to become a public charity. I guess there's a difference between a private and a public, where the public has more tax incentives, and they turned a blind eye to him because he was heavily involved with the IRS and Nixon and stuff. Like I guess he played a part a little bit. At least his company did in Watergate. But yeah, like I said, I'm not going to be doing this book justice because there's so much stuff in it. But he bought casinos from mobsters, which I'm pretty sure he used that money to, like they said, to covertly do maneuver money, like to certain political facets, and like, and his whole, most of his companies were filled with employees who worked for the CIA and FBI at some point, or some probably were currently at the time working for the CIA and FBI and stuff. And he had, there was a lot of political connections and a lot of hidden agendas and maneuvering of what money and like all kinds of stuff. And um, like even one of his employees, I can't remember if he worked for the FBI or at CIA. He was at the same time like a contractor for or something like that for the CIA or FBI, and was helping hire mobsters to assassinate Fidel Castro, but that fell through for whatever reason. But like they go into a lot of detail on that, but it's just like, this is what I'm saying. You have to pick up this book to really get. There's a lot of information and it's a lot to digest at one time. But the CIA was using his company to do a covert mission where they had this. They kind of fronted like his company was going to go into the ocean and start doing mining on the ocean floor, but they said it was really to get a sunken Russian submarine that had sunk some time before, and it was really to get that submarine for whatever reason. But the whole story behind that is like confusing because it's everybody's saying different stories, and it's there's all kinds of propositions of what's really going on. And like even Hughes's property or an estate was like robbed for documents and stuff, and the whole story behind the people involved in that is like real cloudy too. And there's a lot of this, and then also the FBI and the CIA dropped a lot of their investigations on who robbed Hughes's estate, because the reason that it was so detrimental was because that's covert mission to get that submarine. There was documents pertaining to that where the CIA was working with the Hughes company to get that submarine, and they didn't want it leaked, so they say. But there's people who speculate that it was intentionally, is what the CIA wanted, was for it to be released, and that they were the ones who robbed the document. It just goes all kinds of twists and turns, and it seems like a lot of those companies had a lot of twists and turns to throw people off and different, so you could never understand what was the motive and everything, or who was involved and whatnot. But he stayed in hotels and would call people constantly to make deals, like calling people like at late hours of the night. But people tolerated a lot of his bullshit because he was so wealthy. And a lot of people really, a lot of these CIA and FBI guys and other businessmen were just fucking milking the fuck out of all his companies, just like paying themselves ridiculous amounts of money and moving money all kinds of ways. And this motherfucker didn't know what the hell was going on because half the time he was drugged up. And a lot of them were in bed. There was like certain facets of people together, and most of them were fighting for power of that company. It seemed like it was just like a fucking free for all for fucking intelligence officers and political figures and shit. And so everybody was just fucking running amok in that motherfucker. But he would call people at late hours of the night, just like asking all kinds of crazy, having all kinds of crazy demands and stuff. And like, it seemed like he just sat there in those hotels in the earlier days and just like contemplated ways to maneuver money and buy businesses and like, but it seemed like he heavily contemplated them before he's called people and started putting it into action. But then when it came down to getting down to business and making the deal, he would procrastinate and change his mind and flip the script and just go back and forth and just piss people off. But he also had some like ways to like fuck people out of some shit, but I digress on that. But like I said, he was heavily involved with Nixon and the IRS. The IRS overlooked, like when they started passing a law about the. Okay, I already went into that. But yeah, this book's got a ton of information. It's got even information on like the people who are involved. Like throughout the book, there's just constantly just guys. And it also there was another thing too was the medical institute, the charities, the so-called charity, owned this property that was just like a fucking place for people to fuck and mingle and with lots of money and stuff like that. And it was just like, it was a place for people to do business and all kinds of stuff. And it was like, yeah, this fool was hella intricate in the way he did business and stuff like that. Like the book kind of downplays a lot of his success, saying that he was just a drug addict and he didn't amount to nothing. It was just trying to be like his father. But I think this fool was really heavily involved in stuff like the company that he gave to the medical institute made a lot of money with government. They had tons of government. They were basically similar to, was it Lockheed? They were basically very similar to Lockheed, and I think Lockheed even made business deals with them on certain ventures. But I'm trying to find a resource here that showed how much the medical institute was paying to him. But like I said, look if you look at the appendix, there's all kinds of stuff. The appendix. I'm trying to turn this damn page. Let's see. I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But yeah, when it comes to those, using a charity to manipulate money and whatnot, I think I'm not sure if he was the first one to do that, but it seems like a lot of them do that. A lot of businessmen, like I'm pretty sure Bill Gates does that, and he does it with that. He acts like he's doing charity, but really it's a power move to get power over people. So he's pushing his agenda and getting a tax incentive from it. Like, for instance, vaccines, that's just a way to, I believe, to dumb down people and he talks about manipulating people's genes and all kinds of stuff like that. He's got GMO, which he says is to help people who are hungry, which really he's just trying to control the seeds, which he'll control the land and the food simultaneously by patenting the seeds. And he's getting a tax write-off for doing so. So there's a lot of, if you look in this book, you'll see how all these players are involved in a lot of fuckery and stuff. But I digress. If you want to check it out, Empire, The Life, Legend, and Madness of Howard Hughes. Have a blessed day and keep on keeping on.